Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a what sold video, and it's going to be everything that sold from February 1st to February 7th. However, I have to share that it's actually technically not all the sales, and that is because on February 1st, I went and put some stuff into the blue drop box that is across the street from my house, because that's how I've been doing packages for the last like 3 years. And unfortunately, I went in there in the morning, dropped stuff off, no problem. I went there later on in the afternoon to drop off some more sales that had occurred during the day before I went to my partner's house, and the drop box had been saran wrapped. And I was super confused as to why it was saran wrapped. So I actually went to the post office that was in charge of the drop box, and they're like, yeah, if it's saran wrapped, that means that it had been tampered with. And by tampered with, it means that it had been broken into and everything had been stolen out of it. So I called eBay and I contacted Poshmark, and eBay was absolutely not helpful at all. They're just like, oh well, they didn't scan, so that's on you. Actually, they said it's technically not your fault, so you know, if it's priority, you should be able to file a claim. I did. It was rejected because it hadn't been scanned by the post office, and then all the first class ones, of course, were gone, so eBay did nothing for me. I did contact Poshmark, as I said, because everything sent via Poshmark is sent priority mail up to £5. So I figured that they would do something for me because they have the priority $50 or less protection. So I contacted them. I had to contact them like 2 or 3 times before they actually responded to me, and then 2 or 3 more times for it to get resolved, but they ended up releasing the funds for the item for myself and then also refunding the buyer, which is how we ended up with this sale from Poshmark. This is my only sale on Poshmark for this week, and it unfortunately had been stolen out of the drop box. It had sold for $10. I got this in a ThredUp men's box. I think everything there was like $4 a piece. So thankfully I did not lose any money, and Poshmark gave me that money amount. The other 3 sales that I had that had been stolen were all on eBay, and that's just gone. So I had to, for the first time, make a shrink line for my business, for my ledgering, for my business, and I now have a shrink. If you don't know what shrink is, congratulations for never working retail. It is soul sucking, but that just means theft, like stolen inventory. So I had to write that off. That is technically a business expense. Didn't think I would ever have to do this unless I did like a vintage market or something. But yeah, that was a first, and it was very stressful, and all in all, I mean, it sucked. It sucked because I'm basically out the shipping, and because I had to do full refunds. That's what eBay told me I had to do. I had to do full refunds, and so I was out the shipping and I was out the cost of goods. So that was very soul crushing at the beginning of February, and that kind of like set the tone for the rest of the month. A little bit of a spoiler alert. I am now going to share with you the Etsy sales, which were actually really good this month, and that is because I sold 2 sets of this pair of Mallard lowball glasses. I actually found a set of 7 of these, as well as the tray that went with them at an estate sale, and I paid $7 for everything, which is awesome. And I already sold the tray. I actually sold the tray first, and then these glasses have been selling. And the reason why I knew I could get this amount for the glasses, because I actually previously found 2 of these a long time ago at a thrift store, so I paid $1 for the 2 of them, and they sold for this amount of money. So this is the 2nd time I found them, and this is the 4th time I've sold them, because again, I sold 2 sets of 2, and now they're all gone because I had shared a previous set beforehand, and then I have an extra one just sitting in my cupboard of Lonely Heart glasses that I haven't listed yet. But these lowball Mallard cup glasses with the fat bottoms, I consistently sell them, and as you can see, make really good money from them. Turning basically $4 into $48, I think, is a pretty decent sale. And then we're gonna go to eBay because eBay is my main bay, and I'm going to show you all Miss Moxie. Here she is with her cute grumpy face and her little tiny toe beans. So the first sale I have to share with you is this vintage 90s Oleg Cassini. This is a polyester tie. I rarely get polyester ties at all, but because this was vintage and because of the fact it was paisley, I went ahead and purchased it. I normally prefer to pay $3 or less for ties, in order to, you know, make it worth my time, I guess. But this was awesome. I paid $2 for this tie, and I'm really happy that it moved on to a new home. This pair of vintage Levi's 560s I actually picked up for Thriftmas. This was that instance where I saw the dudes across from me pick it up, and then they're like, this is too big, and put it down, and we switched. I gave them a pair of Carhartts that were in my bin, and they gave me these 560s, and these 560s sold very quickly for my full asking price of $29.87. 560s, as long as you price them in the $30 range now, they sell pretty quickly and very consistently. I mean, you used to be able to get 50 bucks for them, 30 bucks for, you know, what, the $2.50 I paid for them at the bins. Absolutely worth it. The next item I have to share with you is a viewer sale. My lovely friend Second, who I've mentioned multiple times here on this channel, who has just been a major supporter of me and everything that I do, purchased this for me. It is one of the My Family Genealogy, like ancestry books that I picked up at the bins for 50 cents, and she purchased it from me for $8.39. So thank you very much, Second. This was listed due to my Money Pile Monday videos, so you guys supported me, and then also something that was in a death pile and now is out of my house. So I do hope that you've been able to enter some stuff in and that you are enjoying it, Second. Thank you very much. This is contact paper. I had been fed a bunch of TikToks talking about how to do renter-friendly renovations to your apartment to make it look more your aesthetic. And so when I went to the Restore, I actually bought $100 worth of this in like many different patterns, and I have so much of it. And then it sat for, I think, a year before anybody bought any, and now it is selling. And so somebody bought 2 of them. This is the green, yellow, blue mod pattern, which is this one. So they bought, feels like I'm threatening you, watch this video or else. Hit that like button. I don't know. What do the YouTubers normally say? I think those are things that people would normally say. No, they don't. Nobody threatens their viewers. I don't know. Actually, that's not true, because I watch Philip DeFranco every day, and he does threaten to throat punch you. So, I'm not actually threatening you. You do you. That's what I say all the time. I need to put this back where it goes, because otherwise I'm just going to wave it around like a Harry Potter wand the whole time. But they sold for $19.74. I sold 2 of them, and I'm just grateful that they're actually selling, because I did spend quite a bit of money on these pieces, and I'm glad that I'm at least getting some of that cost back. This is a Lucky Brand Venice Burnout thermal shirt. I have a really good luck flipping Lucky Brand if you price it reasonably, so between $10 and $20. The Venice Burnout does sell faster than pretty much anything else I've found from Lucky, and it sold for my full asking price of $17.87. And then I have a second one, and this one sold for $13.50. So I probably paid about $4.50 for both of these. So pretty decent return, especially if it is a quick return. And I believe I found both of these during Thriftmas. This is a free to me item. This was the second bathrobe that was donated to me by Carolyn and Ernie. Carolyn and Ernie, thank you very much. I cannot thank you guys enough for all of the generous donation that you guys gave me. And this one I had originally intended to keep for myself, but Carolyn is not as vertically gifted as I am, and I could not wear this without flashing everybody my butt, which, you know, kind of defeats the point of the robe. So I went ahead and decided to sell this. It sold for $9.87, and it had cute little cats on it, which is why I wanted to keep it, because I have a cat that I love that you guys see all the time. And I think it's allergy season, so if I sound a little nasally or you see like red scratch marks everywhere, it's just because like I'm going through it. Everything is yellow, and allergy season is like in the peak of, I am just popping Benadryls like candy. It's pretty bad. This is a Todd Snyder, the only Todd Snyder piece I have ever found. If you find Tide Pods, if you find Todd Snyder button fronts that are cheap, I would pick them up. It did sell pretty fast for me. However, you're not going to get as much as if you found Todd Snyder blazers or outerwear or their pants or shorts. So this sold for $15.25. I found this at Diversity Thrift in Richmond for Thriftmas, and I paid like $3.75 for it. This is a set of books that I listed for Money Pile Monday. This is the Spiderwick Chronicles, book 1 through 5, and in total, because it's 50 cents per hardcover, I paid $2.50 for this, and it sold for $8.39, and you're like, that's not a lot of money. Again, you do you. This actually sold very quickly for me, considering it's a set of books. It sold within less than 30 days, and I tripled my money. So for me, it's more about I want at least 100% ROI. That's what I'm looking for in my business model. Because again, while I really love and appreciate the fact that I am able to have this as my job, like this is my 9-to-5 job, this allows me to afford my house and all this other stuff. For me, thrifting has always been more about sustainability than any other reason. And the fact that I get to make a living from it is bonus awesome. So this is a pair of Can women's shorts. I have a few pairs of Can pants by now that have not sold, jeans. But the shorts sold very quickly for my full asking price of $16.87. I'm guessing it is the padded flat rate shipping that people are not wanting to pay, even though it's only like $4 more expensive than shipping this first class. So I don't know. But it sold for $16.87, and the buyer paid for shipping. This is something from my own personal collection, and this is an item from Fix It Friday. I just relisted it and cross-posted it everywhere. This is something that I wore when I was much skinnier. But low rise is back in, so if you're not into low rise, I 100% feel you there, but Gen Z is into it, and so I was actually able to sell a pair of Aeropostale low-rise jeggings for $8. And I was able to ship them first class because there was almost no fabric. Because they were skinny, low-rise jeggings. So yeah. Do I recommend you picking up Aeropostale? Absolutely not. Again, this is something from my own closet, so I was perfectly happy to just get rid of it because I was never going to be this skinny again. I was not healthy when I was that skinny. This is something I picked up at an estate sale for $4. This is a vintage from the 70s German puff sleeve top. This actually would have been worn underneath a dirndl, which is a traditional German dress. And the dirndl I think is still up for sale. I'm not sure. But I decided to sell these separately because I actually, in this death pile, have a bunch of crop dirndl shirts. I just haven't gotten around to listing them, so. But it sold for $20 on an offer, and the buyer paid for shipping. Again, I paid $4 for it originally. Now, I've talked about buying and selling Otagiri mugs so often on this channel, and for a time period, I was just picking up everything Otagiri. I will probably still continue to pick up everything Otagiri if I get it for cheap enough. I paid $1 for this mug. I actually picked up 3 of them and decided to just set a quantity, and somebody bought this one for $5. It took like 2 years to sell, but one of them finally sold, and they sold for $5, and then they paid first class shipping. I talked about in my how to sell books without Amazon, which I will link up above if you haven't seen it. And I've told you guys, Jesus sells. I found this at the bins for 25 cents because this is technically a soft cover. It was new, and this is how to, I guess, go door to door and preach the faith. I'm not 100% sure. But it sold for $9.87, and I will pick up Bibles and religious texts if there is because there is a market for them. I've bought and sold vintage and antique Bibles and collections, so it is definitely a market to be aware of and something to look out for when you're outsourcing. These I picked up at an estate sale for $2. It's actually 2 of these new with tag little area rugs, but they were like small. So it was like 2 by 3 feet, or like 18 inches by 3 feet. So they were like little kitchen rugs like you would put underneath the doormat. So I only paid $2 for them, and they sold for $15, and the person bought both of them, which I thought was awesome. This is a pair of vintage Levi's Carpenter jeans. These were the loose fit, baggy fit jeans, are very in still. and these were 30-32, so a little bit tinier of a waist, but they had a good inseam and they sold on an offer for $22 and the buyer paid for shipping. This Washington hat I picked up at the Air Force retirees house, so I paid less than $1 for this hat and it finally sold for $5. There are going to be individuals that will never give up this logo and team name, and I will buy it if it becomes available. When I bought this, it was still the team name, which is why I bought it, but now that it is no longer the team name, I don't know if I'd still pick it up again, but I mean, if I get it for less than $1, I probably will still do that. So, and then the last item I have to share with you is this Tamac Frosty Fudge mid-century one-hander. So I found a bunch of Tamac pottery at the Restore in Newport News for Thriftmas, and all of the one-handers with the saucers have sold now. So I still have the bowls and the dinner plates. Honestly, I thought the dinner plates would have sold first, but I believe that everybody is just as enamored with the one-handers as I was. Like if I find any Frosty Pine Tamac pottery, I am keeping it because I love the aesthetic. And like I said, I really loved the one-hander. Like it's just, it feels so good in your hand. I don't know why I'm like fondling here, but anyway, it sold for my full asking price of $19.87, and I have made, I think probably out of everything I've done for Thriftmas, top tier, elite tier was Diversity, followed closely in second by the Newport News Restore, because I spent like less than $30 at the Newport News Restore, but between the Longhorn plates, which I think I will talk about later on for sales, like in a couple weeks for sales, and then also the Tamac pottery, I have just made a ludicrous amount of money based on the amount of money I spent. But that is everything I sold for the first week of February. I'm trying to catch up, guys. Between the fact that the weather is now warm and sunny, which makes it so I'm not down with the sad. Hopefully I'll be able to catch videos back up and have a more consistent upload schedule. So thank you for bearing with me, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye!